Hey CTX brides, I'm Britt Frank, host of Central Texas Engaged, your podcast for everything Central Texas weddings. Today I'm here with Shauna Hamby of Weddings by Shauna. How's it been going, Shauna?
Been going great. It's really good. It's a wonderful season for weddings, and we've had one after the other almost every weekend.
You've been just booked.
Very booked
every
this
weekend.
year. Yes, we've
All
had,
right.
by the end of this year, we will have done 37 weddings, full
Woo!
service, so.
Nice, full service. And
Yes.
Could you explain what that means exactly?
Sure, absolutely. So when I first started out, I did mostly day of because my mentor was day of.
Okay.
And it kind of quickly evolved into full service planning, which means that they get me when they get engaged.
Okay.
And then I see them all the way through the entire process. So
That's a lot of meetings.
it is. It's a lot of meetings, but I love it. And I think you do have to love it because it's 24/7,
Yeah.
It's so fun. And it's so exciting to go through that whole process with brides and to help them find every vendor. I help them, to find everything from DJ and caterer, photographers, videographers, everything. And then go to a lot of those meetings with them.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you attend those meetings with them.
I go to most of those meetings with the different vendors, especially like florals and catering and cake and those kind of things.
The big ones.
Yeah, the big ones. Right, exactly. And so I, see them through that whole process, and then we create a timeline for the day of. Mm-hmm. And then with that timeline, I will make sure to keep everybody on track during the day. Yes. And so we know exactly when we're leaving, and so we kind of back it up from there to determine, when the best time for ceremony and for cocktail hour, reception, all of that. So that's all lined out, very detailed on my timeline. And so I'm going to be there to make sure that everything goes really smoothly.
Okay.
And we are there with full service planning. We're there the entire day. We do all the setup. Okay. And we do all the cleanup.
Okay. So, wow. Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of a big leap going from, day of to full service.
Yeah.
Do you still offer day of as well, or
no,
you're just full service?
Yeah, I'm just full service now.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it's keeping you busy.
Very busy.
It sounds like it makes people's days way easier.
It is. And I love doing the full service because I know exactly what's going to happen. There's nothing unexpected. And I've found, sometimes with day of only, if I'm walking into a situation where I don't know every detail of, what has been going on ahead of time.
It's out of your hands.
Yeah. It's hard to know every single thing that's going to happen or anticipate that. And I like to anticipate it. And, to problem solve as we need to. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
How long have you mentioned your mentor being a day of? When was that? Like, how long have you been doing this?
That was almost 9 years ago that I started shadowing Lois Ferguson.
Okay,
who is,
yes.
Great day of wedding planner, and still is. And so I shadowed her for about 6 months, and then just kind of jumped in and started doing it myself. And
you just jumped right in.
Jumped right in.
All right, I'm taking weddings. Let's do this.
Yeah, so it was fun. And mostly, like I said, in the beginning, I did day of, and I loved that. It was great learning so many things and learning how to solve problems as they came up,
Right.
So I think that really helped me, to
your
personality.
Come to where I am today. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, so you just, it was about 9 years ago. Mm-hmm. Did you just decide, hey, I think this sounds like a career that's fun, or did you know someone who did it? Like, what made you decide to try it out?
Right. So I moved back to Waco, and I ran into Lois at church, and she said, I really would like to have, someone that I can kind of train and, do it the way that I do it and to refer to. And so I was working 2 other jobs at the time, so I started this as a third job.
Yeah.
And that was all to put my son through Baylor at the time.
Yes.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Well done.
So and then eventually went to full-time wedding planning.
So do you remember your first wedding?
Yes.
How did that go?
It went really, really well. And what was so fun about it was I did not know this bride at all. She found me through a friend. We got to be really good friends. And we ended up, for that wedding, this was very unusual, but doing the flowers for that wedding.
Okay.
And just kind of, she bought them wholesale, and then we helped her to do them. And it was pretty hysterical because
my
sister and my best friend Martha and I were on YouTube looking up how to put together a bouquet.
Like on that day. Like,
on
how
the
are
day
we going to do this?
Yeah. But it was really fun. And I come from like really creative people. My mom was an interior designer for Drexel Heritage for 30 years. Wow. And so I grew up around, party planning and all of that. So, and design. Fun. So it was fun.
So when you look back on it, like as, opposed to now how you do a wedding, do you like cringe a little bit, or are you like,
sure,
I would have done things different? Like, what do you think has changed through these, 9 years that you've been doing this?
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing probably that's changed is that I'm so much more relaxed and feel like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that was like, oh, sure, I'll figure this out.
Yeah.
So, and we did. But now it's just, I feel like, I'm able to stay really calm, which really helps brides and their moms and their families, and the groom, everybody to just stay really calm on the day of, because I think that's super important to be kind of a calming effect for people and, to help them know that they can just enjoy the day and be completely immersed in what's happening with their wedding.
Absolutely.
And not worry about the little details, because that's our job.
Right. It's so nice for mom to not have to be scramling around trying to figure out, we ran out of ice. Who's going to go and get it?
Exactly.
It's your job. So
exactly.
Love that for you.
Yeah.
So what is, speaking of, nowadays, planning your current weddings, what's a trend that you like that's like newish?
Right. One of my favorite trends is doing like a low arrangement along the aisle, on either side of the aisle. And there's a couple of things that I love about this. One is just that it makes it look really full.
Yeah.
To do several low arrangements on either side of the aisle. But another thing that we've actually done at a wedding in Branson, Missouri in September is we took those aisle arrangements, and during the cocktail hour, we moved them to Harlow stands inside the room, and so they were repurposed.
Yes.
And that was really great, which saves money.
Absolutely.
And really you don't feel like you're wasting any any money on the flowers that you're just using for 30 minutes.
Absolutely.
So we pick them up and put them somewhere else.
If you can repurpose it, do it.
Yeah.
Anything
all about
else?
That. One of my other favorite trends right now would be I think the different fabrics as well as different colors of bridesmaids dresses. Like I recently had a wedding where they had like velvet and chiffon and, it wasn't just different colors, which has been kind of trending for a while, but it was also different fabrics.
All different textures.
And I love velvet always.
Yes.
But in the fall weddings, I'd love to see those different, textures come in. So.
Yeah, I feel like it adds a lot of dimension. You look up at these bridesmaids all standing together, and it's not like, all one like line of the same thing.
Exactly.
It stands out. It looks really pretty. Okay, so as far as your process goes, how do you kind of get to know your brides before planning the big day? Because obviously you need to know a little bit about their personality so that you can adhere to that. Yeah. What's that process like?
Well, the first meeting, it's usually about 2 hours. And we just really, get to know each other. And I ask all the questions. How did you meet? And, tell me about your engagement and those kind of things. And also I ask a lot of questions that maybe they haven't thought about, What are you going to do communion during your ceremony? Are you, do you want to have a bar? Do you not want to have a bar? If you have a bar, do you want to do beer and wine only, or signature drinks as well? There's a lot of little detailed questions that I asked that first meeting, and they kind of deer in the headlights a little bit. But and a lot they can't answer, but some they're like, I'm so glad you asked that because I haven't thought about it.
Right. So, oh man, that sounds like you're making me want to replan like my wedding, like asking all these questions. I want to answer them for myself.
But I think the main thing is that it's very personal to me. I always laugh because when people say it's business, it's not personal. That's not true for me.
Yeah.
It's always personal, because I love my brides so much, and I get to really know them and get close to them, and by the end I feel like part of the family.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I think that's the biggest thing for me, is that it's such a relational job, because I'm, just that way naturally. So.
Yeah. I mean, it is personal. You're orchestrating like one of the most important days of this person's life.
Absolutely.
So how could you not, feel personal about that? And I think that's important for a wedding planner to be personally tied, because you're going to do an excellent job if you you put your heart into it.
Right,
So,
exactly.
Yeah, I think that means a lot.
Yeah.
So what would you say your most unique wedding planning experience has been?
Okay, so I think the one that I think is most unique was one that we did at Dallas Museum of Art. And it was unique for several reasons. One was that we were setting up a huge wedding and we couldn't get in till 4 o'clock after the museum had closed.
How many people?
About 350.
Okay, that's a big one.
And we couldn't get in till 4 o'clock for a 6:30 wedding.
Oh,
so
my gosh.
We were literally standing at the door, with Wolf Florist and, all sugared up, did the cakes, and we were just waiting at the door to get in. But that was one thing that was kind of unique about it. We were, it was a quick turnaround.
Wedding and reception were there?
It was. The wedding was in the garden, and then the reception was in the main hall. But one of the most unique things about it was in that main hall where we were having the reception, there was a huge piece of art on the wall, and it was Chuhili art, very, very colorful. So when we first did a site visit, we were thinking, what are we going to do? Because this isn't moving. It's giant.
Yes, it's here to stay.
It's in front of the window, and it's not moving. So I suggested to the bride and her mom that we kind of embrace those colors and go with that for the wedding. And so that's what we did. We ended up doing that throughout the flowers and on the cake. I don't know if you've seen Chuhili art, but it's these round discs in all different colors. It's really beautiful. And Kim, with All Sugared Up, was able to copy those in sugar and put those on the cake. So it was really beautiful, and it was fun. So it's super unique.
And you got it all done.
Yeah, we got it all done, and it was a beautiful wedding. So.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Honestly, you're giving me like secondhand anxiety thinking about doing all of that in 2.5 hours. Mm-hmm. But it went off without a hitch.
Yeah. And the museum was very helpful. Their staff really helped us. I had a great team at the time, that really helped me. And I brought a lot of my vendors from Waco, so that helped too.
You knew them.
These are your people.
Yeah,
those are my people.
You're all one big team here to get it done.
Exactly.
So as far as the wedding goes, the wedding and reception themselves, what's like the highlight of the night to you? Like, do you have a favorite part of the day?
Sure. I think my favorite part of the ceremony is that moment when we're about to open the doors for the bride or about to send her down the aisle. That's my favorite because I'm like the last person standing there with the bride and her dad. And I really love that moment. I think it's kind of the sentimental person in me too, because I usually tear up as well, but that moment where we open the door and the bride walks down the aisle, I love that a lot. And as far as the reception is concerned, I love the grand entrance when they all come in, to the party, and everybody's really excited, and the toast and the cake cutting, all of those elements in there that we help with are really fun.
Yeah.
So
that's what makes for a good night.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you have any advice I know we've got a lot of brides that listen that are, probably newly engaged. Mm-hmm. What would be your word of advice as far as their journey with wedding planning?
Okay. Well, I think I would probably just say take a breath now that you're engaged. And hire a wedding planner. Yes, definitely. And get somebody that you connect with. You really need to connect with that person because it is a long process. And for me, it's usually a year and a half sometimes, with brides that we go through that whole process. So it needs to be somebody that you really connect with, on a design level. And absolutely. And also just personally. So with your brides, are you on call all the time? Yeah. Yeah, have you taken, and they know that.
Have you taken midnight breakdown calls?
Absolutely, yes, and I'm happy to do it. And they know that. I tell them that in the beginning. You can call me anytime, day or night.
Yeah, well, that makes the comfort level with you, I'm sure. Yeah. That just goes so far, honestly. Absolutely. So where can our brides find you and get a hold of you?
Okay, my website is weddingsbyshauna.com, and it's SHAUNA, and it's weddings plural.
It's a U, not a W.
That's right, it's a U, not a W. And then my Instagram and Facebook are Weddings by Shauna.
Okay, great. And we will, as always, tag you in the show notes. We'll tag you in our Instagram that way to make it even easier for our users to find you. Okay. So thank you so much for coming in and hanging out with us. Thank you for listening, and please tune in to the next one.